Welcome to Biopractice webinar on understanding the mindset of an FDA employee. The speaker for today's webinar is J. Lawrence Stevens, RAC, One Way Consulting LLC, FDA regulatory expert. During the presentation, for any kind of questions, kindly post your questions in the chat box of your GoToMeeting tool, and the speaker would address those questions during the Q&A session. And now I would like to hand over to the speaker, J. Lawrence Stevens. Over to you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Well, hello, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us here today. I hope this will be a webinar that gives you information that's very useful to you. This is a picture of me. Now, I'm not showing it for any other reason to show that, yes, I was an official FDA employee. This happens to be a news conference in Los Angeles Harbor. In the background, there's some container ships. And for a few years, I was the import director for FDA out in Los Angeles. And as part of my duties, I had to sometimes get up in front of groups. And I also have hanging in my pocket there my FDA ID. So credibility, I guess. But this seminar, the webinar, is a rather unique one, I think. I don't know of any other consultant or consulting company that would offer this particular webinar. And quite frankly, I have such a unique background that I believe it uniquely qualifies me to have this kind of a webinar. And as you can see a brief summary of my career of over 40 years is in 1972, I worked for FDA, my first job out of college, and worked for them for 10 years. And then in 1982, I went into the medical device industry and kind of worked my way up the career ladder to the vice president level, and had a tremendous amount of management experience when I was in private industry. And obviously, I impressed somebody because I got promoted and got some very high-level jobs, and I think I did okay. And then in 2000, kind of finished off my industry career. In 2000, I decided, I want to kind of enjoy, take some of the pressure off of my life and go back to FDA. And I was able to go back to FDA as an investigator. It was a unique experience because now, when I worked for FDA, I was a former industry executive, and I was back in the FDA at a fairly low level as an investigator. I worked for a supervisor who would have never been successful as a supervisor in private industry, and I'll explain later what I mean by that. Then I became a compliance officer, the director of import operations, as the picture showed, and I also then finished off my career as a supervisor investigator in the St. Louis office. You can go, well, why would you go I was in California all the time. Why would you go to St. Louis? Why would you take a lower level job? Well, there's two little kids that are my grandchildren that live here, and we live 3 miles from the grandchildren, and that's why we moved here 5 years ago. Well, actually 6 years ago, and about 3 years ago I retired. I had 21 years of service with FDA, and